Yeah, so I was flying back from Thanksgiving, and I checked my phone and I saw news of this new coronavirus variant, Omicron, I think it's called. Um, and I instantly noticed a lot of anxiety and like worry, stress, flashbacks from. So I took a deep breath and wanted to share with you my process around staying sane regardless of what's happening um, in this world. So, as you can see, discomfort and pain as a teacher, you know, this is not maybe the most unique perspective, but it's very useful in my life, and that's why I wanted to share it. And simple example, the first time I remember coming up with this idea, I was walking in my parents' basement and I stubbed my toe on a weight, and it was like my small toes, and I just had so much pain, and I noticed how angry I got and how I wanted to blame someone. And so, like, who left that weight there? Whose fault is this? Was my reaction. Uh, Brene Brown talks of a great example of this, of spilling coffee, and her first thought is, "Damn it, Greg!" Like her husband, she's like, her first thought is to blame someone, and so that's like a pattern that doesn't. It's kind of a dead end cycle. I feel pain or discomfort, I get angry, and then I choose someone to blame or I choose something to blame. Obama, like that's disempowering because it doesn't give us any choice about what to do because we can't control other people. We can't go back in time. We can't change the world by blaming. Assigning responsibility is different, but and advocating for change is different. Um, but anger and blame can be a dead end loop. And so, what do I mean by as a teacher? There's another quote: "There's no such thing as mistakes, only lessons." So if we can break that cycle and think about what can I learn here, we go from pain to curiosity. Self-empathy, self-compassion. Ouch. And then like some separation from the pain and anxiety or whatever, and get curious about what can I benefit? How can I benefit? What choice can I make? First, the choice is to get curious instead of angry, or maybe curious instead of blame, because maybe anger is just natural. But what choice can I make to benefit from this pain? Because that's all we can control is our own choices. So by listening to the pain and listening to the discomfort as a teacher, it's almost like a cosmic trust that that's how evolution works, or that's how nature works, is pain is like information for doing things differently, for making different choices. And not that I can always control the source of my pain, like with the weight and stubbing my toe, that I chose to walk that way, because sometimes there's legitimate, oppression or harm that's being done to me. But that's a little different. I want to talk about privilege at the end, privilege and oppression at the end. But right now, it's true that we have a choice in how we respond to our circumstance. So my invitation right now is for you to think about choosing curiosity, from pain to curiosity, discomfort, anxiety to curiosity about what's next, what's the best step to go forward. So another story for me where this really became crystallized as a pattern for me, I was in my sophomore year of college, the very beginning of my sophomore year. And as some context, my first year at NYU in New York City, I was just like gung-ho on achieving, accomplishing, becoming a professional, like learning. So after my first year, I stayed on in the summer, like a summer semester of 2 courses to get ahead. I was just hungry, and so I worked super hard in this documentary and TV class and the script writing class, and so I spent 11 months in my first year in college. I had a month off, went on vacation, and then I came back to school. And And pretty soon I got sick. My body was pretty run down, and I didn't really understand what that meant. And I just got sick, and then my student loans had fallen through. Like, I forgot to click a button and sign something. So I was like with a fever on the phone, on the computer, trying to like figure out my student loans. And I was super stressed. And eventually I got a fever, like 104 or something. And I was in the bathtub, like shivering. And I went to the hospital. My parents came. They were very concerned. I went home. I went to the hospital near my house and just kind of recouped for about a week or so. But I made it back after the first week or so of classes. And they had warned me that if it was epiglottitis, like strep throat had become epiglottitis. My throat was swollen, my epiglottis was swollen, and if I had inhaled some food, I might get pneumonia. So heads up. So a couple days I'm doing okay, but then I feel this pain in my lung. I said, oh, fuck, it's probably pneumonia. So I'm like, oh, it's a Sunday. I'll go to the hospital tomorrow. But after like an hour or two, I could barely breathe. And it was like getting painful. So got on the subway, went to the hospital, the NYU hospital up on 33rd Street. And then my friend met me there, and I was in the ER waiting room for an hour or two, and I could barely breathe. So by the time my friend got there, I was just like hunched over, like taking tiny little inhales. And she said, this is not okay. So she goes up, advocates for me. I get a bed. They get me some morphine and stuff. And but anyway, it turns out I had a blood clot in my lung. And the doctors were really confused by that. They thought it could have been an autoimmune disorder. They thought it could have been started in my leg. And all the doctors were scratching their heads because this is not something that a 20-year-old kid has, 19-year-old. So anyway, so I spent about a week in the hospital, and I'm ecstatic. I'm relieved to be in the hospital, even though I'm in a lot of pain and laughter. My friends are all coming and making me laugh. And even though I'm in a lot of physical pain, emotionally, I'm relieved because I just needed a break from school. And I put this together eventually because I was really curious. Why am I so relieved to be in the hospital? Because I needed to like be taken care of. I was exhausted. And so and then the doctors still like never really came to a conclusive decision about why I had this blood clot. So to my story making mind, it's because my body needed a break, and my body was telling me, you need a break. And it was going to shut me down, and it was going to make me take a break because that's what I needed. And I wasn't listening to my body and to my emotions and to my being. I was just going ahead and working hard and like impressing people and achieving things. So that was when, I learned to be curious about my body and about my emotions, to listen for what they're trying to teach me. That could have been around the time I stubbed my toe, but these lessons started to come to me. So my burnout from school taught me that I needed balance, that I needed something more than just accomplishment, but like to enjoy life, and basically to have gratitude, like have an attitude of gratitude, they say. But that was very clear because when I went back to school, about halfway through the semester, I had a reduced course load. I think I took 2 courses, and I just like had a new lease on life, and I was just insanely grateful to be like finding a new balance of health in my life. I started juice fasting. I got really interested because I was on blood thinner, and I just got really interested in the way nutrition and stress impacted my life and impacted my body, my health. So, not to say that I'm now like, or ever was like totally healthy, like it's always a journey. So in the face of this COVID-19, even back when it first started, my reaction was to get curious. What can I learn from this? What can I choose? What choice do I have? Like I can choose to be angry or, come up with stories about where COVID came from, but like, what is the impact of that on me and on the world? And so, so I took it as an opportunity to be healthy, because it's like, hey, there's this big virus out there. What can I do? I can focus on staying healthy, working on my immune system, focus on community, right? We're all trapped inside and focus on how can I be of service and connect with people. So anyway, this is the invitation, is check in with what you can choose in the face of things you can't control, such as this new COVID variant. Maybe it's an opportunity to do COVID over and better. You know, do you want to choose to get a bunch of alcohol and drink a lot? Do you want to choose to nurture yourself in a way that feels healthy and helpful? Because ultimately, through these trial and error of struggle and choices, you know, we are faced with certain obstacles and we choose to try to overcome them. It builds resilience, strength, and opportunities for the next challenge, or lessons for the next challenge. Like, there's no end to the amount of obstacles that we'll face in life, whether it's the death of loved ones, our own death, yada yada. You know, life is suffering, as the sages say. So what do we do in the face of that suffering? You know, meditation. It's a good one. Exercise. Those are my go-to. Coffee. So coming back, though, to this idea of privilege and oppression, right? We're not all given the same challenges. We're not all given the same struggles. And yet, there's still choices. And we're not all given the same choices. But universally, if we have free will, we all get to make choices. And, you know, maybe the source of the discomfort is not from eating the wrong food, although it could be, but maybe it's like the system is holding me down. You know, maybe it's that that my parents were oppressed and traumatized, and therefore I inherited trauma and oppression. And what is there to do about that? You know, what choice can be made? Well, attitude of gratitude is a scientifically proven healthy thing to do. But maybe the lesson is that the system is unjust. And, you know, maybe that's colonialism, maybe that's capitalism, maybe it's Christian hegemony, this dominance over paradigm that we live in. And so maybe the lesson is, how do we change these systems? And, you know, one thing after another, maybe we can change them. That is the beginning of a different topic altogether. But I just want to make it clear that I'm not saying that we all have the equal amounts of choices. You know, maybe someone's COVID remedy is to buy a lot of things. You know, maybe that brings temporary relief from the anxiety, but maybe it doesn't actually serve. But maybe that's not what the teacher's saying. So I invite you to get in touch with yourself, your discomfort and your pain. Meditation is a great way to do that. Meditation is a bizarrely powerful tool because it should be the easiest thing to do. Literally it's nothing. It's like, literally do nothing. Don't think. Don't even think. Just be. Just breathe. Still. Just be still and breathe. And yet, it's one of the most challenging things. And so getting curious about why it's so challenging is a really powerful examination. Getting curious about the discomfort of being absolutely still is a great teacher. For me, I enjoy cold plunges and saunas, extreme heat and extreme cold, fasting. It's also a crazy teacher. It's kind of like a psychedelic trip. I was fasting for just 2 days last week, but it kind of gave me this headache and this just awareness of like, what's going on? All the smells, all the sounds, the feelings, everything was heightened. So again, this kind of discomfort can be an incredible, powerful opportunity to grow resilience for challenges yet to come. That's all I got on this Sunday, and thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope that served you, because it serves me all day, every day. And blessings to you and your loved ones. Stay healthy, stay sane. Take care.